Joan is resigning. Joan has health issues. I don't know entirely what they are, and I don't think we need to know, but we need to come up with a process for replacing Commissioner Young.
I got a call from her and yesterday, and sometime yesterday morning, and then the afternoon she called me back again. So I did ask her, does any of the other commissioners and Dr. Whitcup is aware about this? Joan, I said, I know that you've missed the medical committee and you missed the work study as well, and we met with the 5 board from Overlake, and all we know is that you were ill, so I hope you're feeling better. And she says, yeah, and I have to take care of myself, so I decided I'm not gonna continue. I said, what? Of course, And she says, yeah, because I can no longer drive at night. My daughter took my keys, so that's one of the reasons. Mm-hmm. She says, I need to start thinking about myself and take care of myself, because I'm also taking care of my husband. Plus, I've been, for a long time, I've been serving, so it's time for me to really take a good look of, where I can. I said, okay. I didn't say anything, I said, about it, because I'm hoping that, she may reconsider. And then I asked her, have you submitted anything, more in, and I thought maybe she did. Dr. Whitcup was not aware of it. All Dr. Whitcup knew was that she was ill. And of course, formality's sake, that should go to our president in terms of her resignation. So she said she will do that. So that's.
I haven't heard. She hasn't called me and said that she wants to resign. I know that she's lost a lot of weight. Yeah. She's thin, and I was concerned about her. So she and I talked a little bit. Has she?
Yeah. So she and I have spoken.
Yeah.
She has resigned.
Okay.
She will follow up with a letter. But she has made it very clear she has resigned. So now we'll need to decide on how to.
So now we need to fill that empty spot, at least for her term. And do we want to have some discussion of how we'd like to do that? Do we have bylaws that tell us exactly how to do it?
Maybe.
These are statutorily required requirements for a vacancy. So this vacancy has not yet occurred. It is caused by a resignation occurring upon the effective date of that resignation. Mm-hmm. So since you don't have a resignation date yet, as to when it's effective, you don't have a vacancy. Once a vacancy is determined, I'll outline a series of steps and provide that memo to your CEO, Dr. Whitcup, in terms of what you must do. You must make an appointment during a certain period of time. If you don't, then the county commissioners will make the appointment. If they don't, the governor does. And so there's a whole series of steps. But what's more importantly, though, is that effective date of resignation. If it's the day before the filing period for this upcoming, what would be called a special election, then you would open it for an election. You would only appoint the person through the period of November when the election is certified. If her resignation date is after that, then it would not be until the following November. So it'll be critical as to make a determination when her effective date is as to resignation. I'll work with Dr. Whitcup, prepare an outline of all the steps. Okay. Then you could hold interviews. Those must be open to the public as to individuals who would like to apply for the position. You could review in executive session materials as to those applicants and make a determination who you wanted to interview. You can do that under the Open Public Meetings Act. Then you make that determination. You could also then take certain steps and work with your staff as to how you might want to recruit, provide notice, reach out, those types of efforts as well. So there's a series of steps. Had I known a little bit sooner, I could have brought you some of that. I just put that together a couple months ago for another hospital district, Summit Pacific, had a person resign. And so we needed to make a determination when her effective date is, and that will trigger a number of events.
Would that be by sending a letter written?
Yeah, the statute's pretty clear that if
so that would be the effective
you are
date.
on a board such as this,
right.
You must submit the resignation to the board. It could be to the president or to the governing body, but it must be submitted to them. And then if you don't submit that, the position could be declared vacant if you miss, I think it's
90 days.
I think it's 60 days,
60,
but if you miss a period of meetings over 60 days, you don't attend any meetings in 60 days, that's what it is, then the position could be declared vacant. Now, what you did tonight is you excused her absence, so it would be unexcused absences over the next 60 days.
Is electronic mail, if she did electronic mail, is that acceptable?
I think an email that is
Just say,
verifiable as to her writing and sending it and saying, I'm going to resign effective this date, would probably be acceptable. I'll have to go back and look at the statute. It says it must be provided a resignation date, and I don't think it says email or mail.
Yeah.
Vacancy caused by resignation shall be determined to occur upon the effective date of the resignation or his or her removal. So,
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Pollard.
Joan has served many years,
17 years.
17 years. And I was thinking that after we get this letter, we might want to discuss this again and think that perhaps we can do a little plaque for her or something.
I think that's very appropriate, Commissioner Pollard.
Yeah.
I think we can consider
Be a good
that.
memory for her.
Yeah.
I mean, after 17 years.
I think the first thing is to actually get a resignation. And
Yeah.
then once we have a resignation, then we can move to put somebody in that seat. And at the same time, recognize Joan and do something for her.
You know, we used to occasionally meet outside Snoqualmie. We would meet in Fall City and Carnation and so on.
Yeah, I remember that.
So just a wild idea, and that is that we might want to hold a meeting or one of our special meetings in Carnation and sort of honor her at the senior center there.
Yes, they asked me to join her for senior lunch.
Well, you know, we did
Sometime
have a
next
meeting quite a few years ago at the senior center. I remember
Yes.
doing that.
Yeah.
And that might be easier for her and maybe be a place where her family can come.
Because
and
even
that-
closer to home, she's not able to drive, so she has to take the access.
And that's
Shuttle.
her community and her friends, and, you know,
Yeah.
to honor
Right.
her, it would be appropriate there, maybe not here.
If we're moving our location, we have to know that ahead of time and don't we have to make sure that's
provide a special
special meeting?
notice,
Yeah,
24 hours notice and post it.
okay. So we have a little bit of time and make
Just
sure.
a special meeting.
Well, let's kind of get back to what we need to figure out is our procedure and
Yeah.
what the board thinks would be appropriate in this, short notice type of resignation. And I'm kind of wondering what Commissioner Pollard, what he might suggest, because we have to appoint someone, but, you know.
I think Skip has it right. First thing is we get the letter of resignation.
Well, assuming that's going to come shortly,
And then
okay.
Skip will bring to us some things out of state law that tells us how we must proceed. So rather than start discussing it tonight on incomplete information, why don't we let that process go forward?
Well, I think Commissioner Spikers is concerned that we have an empty seat, that now we don't have a breaking vote on
I
anything.
really don't want to have it beleaguer it very long, just
agree.
because we are in a very
Yeah.
time
Something's
crunch
gonna happen.
situation.
Yeah, we are
We
in
need
a
to bring that commissioner, whoever it may be,
Yeah.
up to speed
Right away.
so that they can participate effectively for
the rest of
this
her term.
potential.
And that the appointment could happen with council, with, what's the word I was looking for? Would a public notice be sufficient in order for us to be able to appoint someone?
The statute's not specific
clear, right?
as to how you must
Right,
provide
right.
notice. It just says the governing body, if you fail to fill a vacancy within 90 days of the occurrence of the vacancy.
90, not 60.
Yep, 90.
Okay.
90 days of the occurrence, the authority of the governing body to fill the vacancy shall cease. The county legislative authority in the largest geographic portion of the city, town, or special district, which in your case would be the county council.
Okay.
And if they don't appoint somebody within 180 days, then
The
the county
governor.
legislative So, and it goes all the way, then you can ask the governor to appoint a qualified person. So you're not gonna go beyond the 90 days.
Right, but what I'm saying is, as long as we gave public notice that there is a vacancy,
Right.
the appointment could happen,
That
correct?
process is, I think.
They're
what-
silent on that.
Right, and I think that's what Commissioner Spikers was alluding to is,
Okay.
you know, what process are we gonna put in place?
That's what we need to discuss now.
Commissioner
That's
Walker,
right,
assuming
yeah.
you get that letter, what do you wanna do? I would think you'd wanna put notice for interested individuals to
okay.
apply with a resume, a letter of interest, background, so you get as much information as you can in paper.
Yeah.
Give it to your staff, or have them collect it and process it. You review it. You could put a committee together to do that, or you could do it as a body, a committee of the whole, reviewing that, deciding how many do we want to interview. And then interview those in an open session, go into executive session to discuss their qualifications, come back out, let's make all your decisions in an open public meeting, of course. And again, I'll work with your CEO, Dr. Whitcock, to process that a little bit more. And again, I was taken a little bit by surprise as well, so I'm trying to remember all the steps. But
I know we've done this before.
We have done this before.
Yes, we
Yeah,
have.
I remember
And what
that.
we did was we interviewed anybody that applied.
Or came up, said they wanted it, just about.
Yep,
It was a long
Okay.
process.
it was a long
that's the
process,
advice
so,
I've given to other public hospital districts is, then you don't have to declare your analysis and rationale as to why somebody got an interview and somebody didn't.
Yeah.
Now, I was at a fire district where they had 18 people apply.
candidates, huh?
And so they interviewed 18 people, took 3 nights. So you may want to, sometimes what you ask for you may get, so be careful. But if you put out a broad perspective, the optics of it are is your community then knows that you're out seeking interest candidates, and they believe that everybody should come and have the opportunity. And if you give them all the opportunity, submit their background information, you can develop the criteria for that, and then interview them. The interviews don't have to be extensive. They could be 10 or 15 minutes, and if you had
yeah.
10 people, you know, you might be here for a couple hours.
So would you recommend that we wait for?
I recommend that your staff can work on the process and the timeline.
And we don't have to.
But you don't have to agree to anything
Okay.
tonight. Dr. Whitcock come back and say, based on, and she can meet with you or contact you individually and say, this is what I think I hear you saying about what you'd like to see the process being. And then she can let you later know when that vacancy occurs, and then we'll just plug it into a timeline.
Yeah, and I would think that if, assuming there is a letter here shortly, that maybe we could think about putting out a notice pretty quick for
I agree.
a special hearing or a special date. So I think it's gonna have to be a special date, it's just too much time between our board meeting and that particular, because if it takes 2 hours plus 2.5 that we're here, or whatever, 2 hours, that's 4 hours. I'm not willing to do that. I've got too many things going on Thursdays,
Special
so,
meeting for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Are there any other questions or discussion of the board?
no,
Would somebody like to make a motion?
I make
for-
that motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.